Welcome. This is our second series that we're having on construction trades. My name is Kevin Comerford, and I'm with the Construction Advancement Foundation of Northwest Indiana. For those of you not familiar with the Construction Advancement Foundation, we're a regional contractor trade association that works to promote the construction industry here in Northwest Indiana. A big part of what we do is workforce development, and many of you might have been to the Lake County Fairgrounds in the last couple of years. That's annual construction and career skilled trades day. And unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we are unable to put that program on. So as an alternative, we're gonna try to bring you all the apprenticeship coordinators who attend that event over the next couple months. So last Tuesday, we brought in the plumbers, and today we're bringing in the carpenters. So my guest today is going to be Chris Charters. Chris is with, and I'm going to go ahead and share a screen so you have his contact information. Please mute your screens if you could, because I hear some background noise. So as I said, Chris is the outreach specialist with the Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio Regional Council of Carpenters. We also have with you Nick Merkel. Nick is a fourth-year apprentice for the Carpenters, and he is actually joining us from a job site. Throughout this series, or throughout this presentation, I should say, we will take questions from the participants. So if you have a question, we ask that you put it in the chat box, and I will kind of look through that chat box throughout this program, and I will ask those questions if they haven't been answered already from our guests. So just really quick before I start talking with Chris, I just want to thank the Center of Workforce Innovations and the Northwest Indiana Workforce Board. Without their help, none of this would be possible. And I also want to thank the Carpenters for joining us today. So without further ado, I'm going to kind of introduce you to Chris. Like I said, Chris is the outreach specialist for the Carpenters, which is located out of Hobart, Indiana, but I think he's statewide, and I'll let him talk a little bit about what he does. So Chris, thanks for joining us today. I think you're on mute.
There we go. Great, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on. So just to kind of kick it off, I just want to kind of get a little bit about your background. You know, can you tell us how you became a carpenter and then how you got into the position that you're in right now as the outreach specialist?
Yeah, so you know, it's a long voyage, right? But we'll try to take the short trip. You know, I was lucky enough as a teenager to have a friend whose father owned a construction company. I was able to then go to work for them on the weekends, and we would go and clean up job sites or house sites or lots, and that kind of turned into full-blown summer work as we got a little bit older. You know, and I did go to college after I got out of high school for a couple of years, and it was just such a calling for me. Every summer when I came back from college, I worked construction, and there was just such a calling for me. I just had such a passion for it that after a couple of years of going to a university, I made the choice to join the Carpenters Apprenticeship program and worked for that company altogether for about 30 years, really, in total. You know, from the time I started when I was 13 or 14 years old all the way through. Luckily, that company also had many different varieties of work that we did. So I did residential work, we did concrete work, we did commercial work. So I got kind of a feel for all of the different aspects in the construction trades that we work on anyways as carpenters, you know, as far as framing goes. So, and that got me to, you know, I'm a 29-year 1005 member. I've been in the Carpenters Union now for 29 years. And I just turned 50 years old, and it's been a great career. I can't ever remember a day that, I mean, there were days obviously that I woke up that I didn't want to go to work, but I don't ever remember there being a day that I got up that I wished I was not a carpenter. Yeah, sure.
Well, that's a great background, Chris. Thanks for that introduction. And now I know a lot of people kind of have a general idea of what a carpenter is and what they do. I mean, you know, hammering, nailing. But I mean, what you guys do is just so much more than that. I mean, there's scaffolding, there's floor covering, there's you know, pile driving even. Can you talk a little bit about, you know, the different aspects of what a carpenter does day in and day out while on the job site?
Well, I think the very first thing is if we were to ask the majority of high school students what a carpenter does, they're going to say build houses. And yes, we do build houses, but more than that, the majority of our work that we do is on the commercial side of framing. And so that involves metal studs and drywall, acoustical ceilings. So the schools that you're in, those are a lot of the buildings that we put up and build, all the interior walls to the classrooms. We put the ceilings in, we put the door and the door frames in, the counters, the cabinetry, the flooring that's in your classrooms, the flooring that's in the gymnasium. Those are all things that are installed by carpenters. More so, every time there's a subdivision that pops up somewhere, and we see a lot of those going on now, the house framing that's there. And if we are doing house framing, we're doing the concrete that's in the concrete footings. We're doing the concrete walls for the house, for the basement. And then we're building that house. We're framing that house up. We're going to do all the wood framing that's necessary structurally to hold that house up. And then we're going to do all the finish work that goes along with that as well. Exterior finish, roofing, any drywall work that needs to be done, any trim work that needs to be done, doors and windows, even you know, some of the concrete framing that goes on the exterior of the home. So we might be doing some of that as well. So now we get into scaffolding work, which is a primary piece of work that we do in our area here in Northwest Indiana. And we do a lot of scaffolding. It's a major part of where our apprentices go to work, as well as you know, working in those commercial buildings. And when we have these residential subdivisions that pop up, you know, we always see in retail buildings that go up in those areas, gas stations that go up in those areas. So you know, everything kind of works in a circle, right? People need places to live. We need places to shop. We need places to get gas and groceries. We need hospitals. We need schools in those areas. So those are all some of the things. And then we need bridges, you know, to span expressways or waterways in order to get us to those places, to and from work or to and from school. So we do a lot of bridge work as well. We do lathing work, which is kind of a specialty trade for us as carpenters, but we do some lathing work as well. And then we do flooring and pile driving, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we do as carpenters. And then we talk about the flip side of that. We talk about our millwrights that we also train here at our training centers. And those millwrights are people that like to wrench. They like to work on large pieces of equipment. They work with tolerances of thousandths of an inch, so everything has to be perfectly put into place. They work in a lot of automobile plants. They work on a lot of rollers and conveyor systems. Robotics is starting to become a huge thing now for our millwrights to service and work on. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunities in the carpenters unit, and many, many more, I think, than what the normal person actually thinks. Our umbrella and the work that we do under that umbrella is quite large.
Okay, now I kind of want to get into, which is probably the main question that most high school students might have, is, you know, how do I become a carpenter? So let's switch directions a little bit and go to, you know, how do you apply to get into the carpenters? And let's talk a little bit about apprenticeships and, you know, how that apprenticeship is structured. So can you maybe tell the participants, you know, a little bit about your apprenticeship program and, you know, maybe how they could go about getting into it?
Sure. So our apprenticeship program is a 4-year program. Now, I say it's a 4-year program, and a lot of young people sit back and their eyes get big. And yes, it is a 4-year program, but you only participate in our training program at our apprenticeship building 4 times a year. So you come in for 1 week, a Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day. You come in 1 week for 40 hours for that week. 3 months later, you come back again. 3 months later, you come back again. So you do that for 4 times for each year, and that would be 1 year in your apprenticeship. Each year you move up in the apprenticeship, you gain a $4 an hour pay raise as well. And you do that again. You come 4 times to the apprenticeship. Now, the great thing about the apprenticeship program is that while you're not there in the building being trained by our instructors, you are out in the field working. You're working with master journeymen that are going to teach you, that you're going to get your hands on with, and they're going to instruct you while you're in the field to gain extra knowledge. And then you're going to earn that great wage as well. Because, obviously if you're working, then you're earning some money. Along with that, you're going to be, as a first-year apprentice, you're going to start to earn any of the benefits that we have, which are healthcare benefits. You're also going to start to have a pension that's going to start to build for you as a first-year apprentice, and an annuity fund. So those are all parts of your retirement. So who else can say as a 19-year-old out of high school, or 18 or 20-year-old, that you've got a great wage? Our first-year apprentices are making $21.55 an hour currently, and they're earning a pension, which is a retirement fund, so and an annuity. So it's a pretty good start to a career. It's not a job. It's a career that we can form for and help participate and create a relationship with all the individuals that come into our apprenticeship program. And it's fairly easy to get in. I think, Kevin, if you would like, you could screen share and pull up our website.
Yeah.
All of our applications are done online currently. We used to take applications in the building, and we are no longer doing that. So online applications, you can go onto our website, which is IKORCCtraining.com. And you can simply go into here and click on Start Your Application. This will walk you right through the process of how to fill it out. It'll give you all the information that you need. And then you're going to fill in your name and other information down at the bottom of the form, and then you're going to submit that form. So there shouldn't be any questions that you have while you fill the form out. The questions are going to come after the fact, right? So how long does it take? Well, it just depends on when you apply. We take applications all year, the entire year. And we sort those applications 3 times a year, meaning depending on when you turn in your application will depend on when we actually take a look at those applications. So they build up between, let me give you these months so I can make sure I get them right. January 16th through April 15th is the first portion. And then those are interviews that we do in June, okay? And then we look at April through August, and those are interviews that we do in October. And then we look through August through January, and those are interviews that we then put in and do those interviews in March. So we do those 3 times a year. And we do require that you have your high school diploma that has to be turned in. We're high school transcripts. We also need a copy of those. You need a valid state ID, whether it's a driver's license or a state ID that has your name and picture on it. And then we ask for a short resume, a small resume that you turn in as well.
So you could just upload the documents right here at the end of the application, I see.
You can, yes. Yep. Thank you, Kevin. Yes.
So I just have a question coming in from one of the participants. And I think I saw somewhere up here that you have to be 17 to apply. So you don't have to be 18 to apply, or can you start work when you're 17, or do you have to be out of high school?
Well, so here's some great things that we have. So let me answer that question first. So yes, you can apply in your senior year of high school. You can apply, and we'll take that application as soon as you get out of high school. You're going to have to bring us, you bring your transcripts and your diploma in, and then if we can get you out to work, then we're going to bring you in and start you as an apprentice right away. Now, the great thing about what we have coming out, we've got some really exciting stuff coming through the Department of Workforce Development and the Department of Education for Indiana. So our curriculum now that we use it through the high schools is going to be recognized as dual credit curriculum, which is fantastic. And also we are in the process currently of building skill certificates with the Department of Workforce Development and our local contractors. So hopefully going forward, we're going to have some things in place where we can actually get some of these building trades students that we have in our schools into an internship, so to speak, with some of our signatory contractors. So that's kind of exciting. We can do that with these students that are 17 years old, for sure.
And what, I'm not sure if you mentioned this, but don't you have a partner with Ivy Tech Community College as well? So once you successfully complete the apprenticeship program, isn't there a degree that they offer, you know, through the Carpenters Apprenticeship Program?
Yeah. So Kevin, you're right on. Yeah. So we working through our apprenticeship program is when you graduate from there, you are also going to earn an associate's degree in applied science through Ivy Tech. Now, the great thing about our apprenticeship program is one, yeah, I mean, we're going to give you some of the best skilled training that's out there. And the other thing about this is if you're accepted into our training program, it's completely free. It doesn't cost you a dime for the training. Now, what you do have some small expenses. Obviously, you have to buy your tools. Well, those aren't small expenses, but we break those out for you into your apprenticeship year. So your first year, you'll have a certain group of tools that you're going to need to purchase. And then you're going to have to pay for your book fees. Okay. And it's $100 a year for your book fees. So $400 for the year or for the 4 years of an apprenticeship program that at the end is not going to cost you a dime. And it costs the carpenters, United Brotherhood of Carpenters, about between, I would say, well, $15,000–$16,000 to put an apprentice through our training program. Those prices fluctuate every year, but they seem to be on a rise. So, and that's completely free. So it's a great program to get involved with. It's a true earn while you learn program, right? You're gonna learn these great skills. And coming into this, you don't have to have a lot of skills. We get a lot of great apprentices that come out of building trades programs that are at some of our local schools and career centers. But we also get a lot of students that come out of high school that just have a love and a passion for wanting to work with their hands. And if you have the commitment and the dedication and the passion to do that, we can teach you the skill sets, without a doubt.
So another question here from one of our participants. And this person wants to know, how competitive is the selection process, and does everybody who apply, do they get in? And I'm going to step further and do a follow-up question is, I know not everybody who applies gets in, but what can somebody in high school do to improve their chances at getting selected into the Carpenters?
So it is a great question. It's a tough question to have to answer, because obviously, depending on your area where you apply, we have 9 training centers throughout Indiana and Kentucky, and depending on where you apply, will depend on how many apprentices they take in. The buildings are different sizes. We are very lucky that in Merrillville, our building is brand new. It's been open basically for about 2 years, and but even there, we can only take so many. We only have room for so many apprentices. So not everybody gets in. The application process when you apply, it could be something where you apply, and if we're taking in a large number of apprentices, then it might be something that you get in 3 months, 2 months, or it could take 6 months to a year to get you in. But at some point, we try to get everybody that's applied and accepted into the program, we get them rolled through. We took a first-year class of 19 actually, several months back, and they're working their way into the program now. So now to go along with that, what can a high school student do to prepare themselves? Well, if you have a building trade program at the school, whether it's an introduction to the trades, whether it's a machining class, it's a whatever kind of of trades classes are available there at your school, if there are any, I would highly suggest that you take those. And if not, then, you know, what we look for, one is we want students that come out of high school that have done well. You know, I talk to high school students all the time about making sure they know they're going to become a carpenter or a millwright or an iron worker or a plumber. And they don't think that finishing high school they don't need to finish with A's and B's. Well, that's not necessarily true, because we want your transcripts for a reason, right? We want to see that you finished high school. We want to see your attendance record at the high school. We want to know that you, just because you were coming into the trades, didn't just pack it in and say, I don't need an education, because that's not true. We want to see people that are committed, dedicated to things, and that are going to be good, upstanding members that come into our United Brotherhood of Carpenters, right? That's what we want to see. So it's important that you finish high school strong, that you finish with great grades, that you have great attendance, and that you bring a level of commitment and passion when you come in and fill out an application for the carpenters.
Now, once you fill out that application, is there a general aptitude test, like where they test your math skills or anything like that, that the students might have to take?
There is, Kevin, yeah. And if you scroll up just a little bit here in this application, if we're still on a screen share, which I think we are,
Yeah.
it says that we are going to be assessed by work keys in the following areas: applied math. I think you cut applied math and some graphic literacy and some things like that. So, and then there's actually a website on here that you can go to get some practice questions in as well. So you don't kind of go into that test, you know, wondering what it's going to look like. So this is a great, in the web, it's all right in the application process right there. You can go in and get started with that.
Okay, so yeah, you want to click on that ACT work keys link, I see.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so that'll just give you practice tests, so you'll know what to expect once you go to apply.
Right.
Very good information. Chris, I'm going to go ahead and maybe talk to your fourth-year apprentice, Nick, here. Nick, thanks for joining us today. I'm curious to know a little bit about your background and, you know, how you got into the apprenticeship program, and you know, how was the application process to you, and what has been your experience so far?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Kevin. Appreciate it. A little bit about my background. I graduated high school in '99 from South Central High School in Union Mills there. As soon as I finished high school, I went into the military. I spent 7 years in the Army, got out of that, and I went right into carpentry as a non-union carpenter. I was building houses and condos in near Kalamazoo, Michigan. I did that for a couple of years, and then I hired onto the railroad. I worked the railroad for 10 years, doing a lot of different things. Started as a locomotive mechanic and got into management. And through a series of unfortunate events, after 10 years, I found myself looking for a job. And so I thought to myself, you know, I have a family. There's a lot of things to think about, you know, pension benefits and not just good wages we're looking for. We're looking for, you know, the total package. And that's what the Carpenters Union had for me. And so I kind of came back to my roots, and I'm really glad that I did, because there's no other job that I would rather do. Chris was talking about our wide scope of work. It is so broad, you will never get bored. You're always going to learn. You're always going to do something different. You work hard, you're going to get put into those leadership positions as a crew leader. And myself, I've been fortunate to be in that position, and I'm running a 4-man crew, and we knock out things together. And there's a lot of pride in that, a lot of pride in building something with your hands and being able to step back and look at it and say, you know, I built that.
So it looks like you're in a job site trailer as we speak.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Can you give us a little bit of information on what kind of project you're working on at the moment?
Sure. Yeah. Right now I'm in Crown Point, and we are building a 4-story hotel. It is a Hampton Inn hotel, and we just about have what we call dried in. So we've got all the walls up, they're all sheeted, and we've got the roof on, and we're just buttoning it up now. We actually just installed the last window today. So we finally get heat in the building, which is always a nice turn of events in the progress of the build. So it's exciting to be there at that point. And we can have a look at the building if you would like to have.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to see it.
Okay, just step outside here and take a look what we got going on. We can see that okay.
Oh yeah.
So it's quite a good sized building. There's the vestibule there, the carport where you would pull under, when you arrive at your hotel, and elevator shaft going up through the middle there. And so we're just getting the exterior prepped for the finish, which is going to be an EIFS material. And that EIFS material actually looks like concrete when it's done, but it's actually foam with stucco on it. So if you can see this portion of building right here beside me, or the shorter portion of building there, that's actually the pool. And that has the exterior finish on it now. That's what the rest of the building will look like. So it's kind of neat to come to a big job like this and you're working with the other trades. And it's really a neat thing. It's really satisfying to be able to walk out the door like that and take a look and say, you know what, I had a hand in that.
That is just fascinating. Now the employer that you're working for, what kind of expectations do they have, not only of you, but for their other carpenters that are working on the job site?
Well, I got it.
They want to see in a good employer, or a good employee, I should say. Sure.
Well, I got to be honest. The expectations are high. I mean, we make a great wage. We have an excellent benefit package, and we are held to a certain standard as being a unionized workforce. There's an expectation there that we are the skilled craftsmen, and that's why we're paid so well. So yes, the expectations are high, but you know what? Just if you show up with those soft, I call them soft skills. If you can come in with your soft skills, as in you're 15 minutes early, you're motivated, you participate, you're willing to learn, you're willing to step outside your comfort zone and get into those other things. Like when I first came into it, I was a wood framer. Like that's my thing. That's what I do. And going through the apprenticeship program, we learn scaffolding and we learn these forms. And I'm thinking that is probably one of my greatest struggles through the apprenticeship, is being able to branch out a little bit and to learn all these other aspects that are required of a carpenter.
So I'm going to go, another question just came in, and I'm going to go ahead and ask it of you, Nick. It looks like it has to do with the schedule. And he goes, when it comes to building places such as a hotel, do you have a due date? And when do you plan on completing the building?
We're always 10 days early, Kevin. There are some very tight deadlines. I know, like, for example, today was a big push to get the last window in because the roofers have been delayed 3 days now with the weather. That roof's got to be dry, and to be able to dry out the roof, we have to heat that fourth floor. And to do that, we have to have all the windows in. So yeah, I felt the pressure. I'm the crew leader for the window crew, and I had a Zoom meeting at 1 o'clock, so we had to get them in there, right? So, yeah, there are deadlines. There's definitely priorities throughout the build, and your foreman will definitely keep you apprised of what he needs next.
One other quick question for you, Nick. So now that you're in your 4th year of your apprenticeship program, looking back, what do you think is, like one of the biggest challenges that you have faced, going through the apprenticeship program, where you were kind of surprised that, that it was kind of maybe difficult for you to kind of, like a difficult part of the apprenticeship program, whether.
I kind of already touched on that a little bit, which is just stepping outside your comfort zone, learning the metal studs. I honestly, I didn't want to learn them. And I think I didn't want to learn them because I wasn't good at it. Like I wanted to be good at it on the first day, so that was kind of a struggle for me. And another one, I would say are the Ivy Tech classes, which I think is a fantastic program. Actually, I just finished up my 4th year. I topped out 2 weeks ago, December 22nd. I finished my last class, so officially a journeyman now.
Journeyman, congratulations, Nick.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's exciting. It's awesome. So I finished my last Ivy Tech class, and that one kind of, I thought to myself, well, why in the world do I need this stuff? But the classes that are required through that program develop you as a person, not necessarily just as a carpenter. So we take human relations class, we take a labor history class, technical writing. We're looking at everybody that comes through here as a potential superintendent. And as a superintendent, you need to be able to write an email, right? You need to be able to communicate what you need as a foreman, going up that chain. So I think all these things, though sometimes feel difficult, are absolutely necessary and very rewarding in the end.
So, now if you were talking to a high school student, you were in front of a group of high school students, what advice would you give them in order to be successful being a carpenter?
I would take it back to those soft skills, Kevin. If you have the right attitude, you show up on time. We don't need a carpenter. We need somebody that is willing to learn. We'll teach you those hard skills. We'll teach you how to read your tape measure and how to cut a straight line, and how to use a nail gun and not injure yourself, right? We're going to teach you all those things. Don't focus. That's, I guess, the advice I would give is don't focus on trying to learn the craft. Work on yourself as an individual. Be on time. Have a good attitude. Have all your stuff with you. Don't forget something at home. Just be prepared.
Great advice. Thanks a lot, Nick. I appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, Chris, I'm gonna kind of go back to you for a question here, and I get this question sometimes when I talk to students, and then so after somebody has been in the trade for a while, and say they were a framer and they're doing framing and they've been doing that for 10 years, and all of a sudden they're like, I want to maybe do scaffolding, or I want to do floor covering. Could they go back to the school and brush up on those skills with the trainers and hone in some of those skills that they might not have learned since they've been through the apprenticeship program?
Yeah, absolutely. So the great thing is that about our Carpenters Apprenticeship program is the courses that we teach are the same at all the training centers. Now, what might be different is how when those courses are delivered. So in our area, because scaffolding is so much of what we do, that is the first class that we give to an apprentice when they come in. We give them a scaffolding certification, so they become a scaffold builder. So now they can go out to work to build scaffolding. Okay. Now, obviously, with that certification, that has to have a refresher course to it every, I think, 4 years, and so they have to come back in and get a scaffold refresher done. If they were to miss that for some reason, they can come back, or if they're out of the apprenticeship, they can come back and take what we call journeyman enhancement training. And we are constantly offering journeyman enhancement training. So for Nick just graduated. He's now a journeyman, right? Or will be very, very soon here. So now next year, if he wanted to, let's say in his second year, he learned how to cut some rafters for a roof, and he wanted to come back and relearn those skill sets because he's been doing metal stud framing and hasn't cut a roof in. He can come back and take a journeyman enhancement course. Usually we offer those in the evening time, and he can come back and take that course at no charge to rebuild those skill sets. We also offer journeyman enhancement training with certifications along the way as well. So what kind of certifications do we have? Well, we have OSHA certifications. We have aerial lift certifications. We have fall protection. We have first aid CPR, the scaffolding cert. We have rigging cert. I mean, they go on and on. We have, when our apprentices graduate from the apprenticeship program, they have every cert that they need to be successful in the construction trade that we're working in. And if they so choose to come back and want to have maybe learn how to do electrified door hardware. You know, that's like an upgraded certification that that a carpenter can have. They can come back and get that training for free as a member.
Now, once you apply and you take the general assessment and say you do well on that, the next step, I assume, just by what other trades do, is there's an interview process. Can you talk a little bit about that interview process and how it works, and who are you interviewing with, and what can somebody, what kind of questions might they ask of the students who come into the interview?
Sure. So after we get the applications in, we filter through those applications. Any schools that are out there that we're in a partnership or relationship with, as far as any schools that have a building trades program out there, whether it's an introduction class or it's a building trades, maybe 1 or 2 that they're offering. If we're in a relationship or a partnership with them, meaning they have an articulation agreement with us, or they're using our Career Connections curriculum, or even now we've developed an LMS system that we offer to the schools now with our curriculum, so that the instructors now can do the virtual training. If they're using that, and we have that kind of relationship or partnership with them, some of those students are going to receive direct entry into our training, our apprentice training center. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means if we've got a building trade student that comes out of a school that has certifications that they've earned through that school teaching them with our curriculum, they will actually receive direct entry into our program, meaning they don't have to go through the interview process. They're going to be, put in on a list and put in line to get into our next apprenticeship class. And if we have apprentices that come in and they come in through and they go through the apprenticeship, they go through the application process, they come in for the interview. We have people in the interview. I'm not involved in the process. Okay, so any of the high school students or instructors that I go out and talk with, there's not going to be any kind of like, I really like this student from Chesterton High School, and I bring them into the apprenticeship. There's none of that going on. So I'm not involved with the interview process. So we have our area coordinator, our director of education from the apprenticeship side. We also have business agents or business representatives that come from our business side of what we do through the Carpenters Union. And then we also have a group of people that come from our signatory contractors that are part of that interview process that are there. So I think there's approximately 6 to 7 people that are on a board that interview our applicants. They come in, they do, what I always tell them, because they ask me this all the time, what kind of questions are they going to ask? Well, I really don't know what kind of questions they're going to ask, but what I can tell you is, if you can honestly answer those questions and answer them from the heart, that you're going to do just fine, right? I mean, if you come in there and you sit down and you start trying to make up answers about things that either you've done in the past or things that you want to do in the future, and you're not being truthful and honest with yourself, then you're not going to be truthful and honest with that board. And then they come through, they get maybe 5 or 6 questions asked to them, and then they get scored, and then they go out into the shop and they do a little hands-on portion in the shop. It might be moving some material around, it might be driving some nails in. There's a few other things that we might do with them for a 10-minute process. And they get scored on those as well. And then they get put into a list. And then we filter through that list by score, and it just depends on how many apprentices that we're taking in. So could be 10, could be 19, like we took in a few months ago, or it could be, upwards of closer to 50 that we're looking to take in. So the time of the season, how well is work going? How many contractors are calling for apprentices? All of those things are going to factor into how many we take in. And also, how many classes, like Nick, you heard Nick say that he graduated out. Well, Nick was in a class with 8 or 10 other apprentices. Well, that means they've all graduated out. So now we've got room to bring in another apprenticeship class. And if there are 2 or 3 or 4 of those graduating out, that could be 30 or 40 apprentices that now are topping out, becoming journeymen, and we've got room for more in the school.
Is there what would you recommend that a applicant wear to the interview? I know a lot of people worry about, should I wear a suit and tie, or should I come in jeans? What would you tell a student if they ask, what do I wear to this interview process?
Yeah, well, because we put them through a little hands-on portion in our shop, and I think they're all notified of that prior. But you know, I would just say, you know, something that's fairly decent. I mean, anything that we do with them in the shop is not going to get them dirty, grimy, you know, covered head to toe. So I would say just a nice pair of jeans and a nice shirt, and you know, or sweatshirt or something like that is fine. You know, we don't really have a dress code for that, and I would not be too concerned about that.
Do you guys, I know it's the middle of a pandemic now and you maybe not be doing it right now, but do you guys have open houses where you'll allow students to come in and see your training center? Because I have been there and it's really impressive. I mean, just the scope of the different tools and equipment and just the people working on and what they're working on is just really impressive. I think if students had a chance to see any of that, I think it would really open their eyes and maybe convince more students to you know, join a trade. So do you have any of that going on, or do you have any open houses for the carpenters?
Well, you're right. I mean, we have done that in the past, but right now, obviously, with COVID that's going on, we're not doing that right now. But normally we do have each year we have open houses at each one of our well, not every one of them, but most of our training centers. We have an open house day that we open up to all of the high schools in the area. Keep this in mind that if we are taking in any kind of visitors, when that does open back up again, any school at any time could call and schedule to come do a walkthrough of the training center. So we're available to that by any school at any time. Right now we're doing a virtual tour. So there are a lot of schools that I get involved with that we do a little virtual thing with, or, you know, we show them a video or we show them a little virtual tour of our facilities. And we can definitely share that with the schools as we go forward if some of those kids want to see that stuff. But yeah, I mean, our facility here is, I think, 60, almost 70,000 square feet. You know, we have a large shop area that's shared by our carpenters and our millwrights. And then we have an upstairs section that's based on trim cabinetry work. So we've got a large overhead crane that's inside the building, a trussel style. So yeah, I mean, we've got 14 welding booths here, you know, along with an IKORCC mock-up that we use. And when I say IKORCC, that's infectious, secondary infectious disease control that we use for training and certifications for hospital work. So anybody that's going to work in a hospital setting needs to have that certification so they know how to work in a hospital setting. So yeah, our training center is usually always open to visitors. You know, they can call in or come in. And usually we have somebody that's around that can give them a short tour. But right now, obviously, you know, our building is kind of shut down.
It looks like maybe we lost Kevin.
Might have, yeah.
Yeah, so if there's more things that you guys have to talk about, or Barb, I don't know if we have any other questions that have come in.
Chris, did you talk about when the next application process is?
Yeah, so
Place?
so we are taking those applications right now, and through January, if somebody wanted to apply and you were in that particular situation and you got an application in before January 15th, you would be looking at an interview date that was sometime in March. After January 15th, then we are looking from January basically 16th to April 15th. That would be the next section of application. So we never stop taking them. You can always go online and apply. Kevin was sharing our website, and if you go onto that website, you can look across the very top of that website, and it's got a listing of every one of our training centers. If you want to click on the Merrillville Training Center, it will actually take you and walk you through staff that's at the Merrillville Training Center, some of the other things that are there. And there are some shout outs there from past apprentices. So there's some other things to visit and see while you're on that website rather than just going there to fill out an application. So again, that website is IKORCC,
Okay, hold on.
right, training.com. So if you're interested at all, it's a great website to go on there and kind of take a look through.
You know, we will go ahead and also provide everybody who was on here today, as well as the people who registered, the teachers and the schools. Erin just went ahead. If you go into the chat box, you'll see the website there for everyone to take a look at. Kevin just called me. I believe they lost their internet. So he apologizes for that. I guess another question would be, I think this question would go to Nick. Nick, you know, if we could just have this question answered. You selected carpentry. Was that the first trade that you looked at? Why did you select carpentry over any other of the trades?
I think I picked carpentry just because that's what I knew. Not only just what I knew, it's something that I was passionate about. So, that's kind of a point that I would like to make to all the students listening is any unionized trade is going to have this excellent benefit package. And I really want to push the union aspect of what we do. If you're interested in circuitry, you know, and tinkering with things like that, check out the electricians, you know, find something that you're passionate about and make it union, and you're going to have an excellent career. And that's all I did, Barb, is I really enjoy building things. That's what I do in my free time. My work is my hobby. So I just love what I do.
Okay, great.
And I think Nick, makes a great point. And I mentioned earlier that you want to be passionate about whatever it is that you're doing. Like I mentioned, I don't think there was ever a day that I ever woke up and said, God, why did I become a carpenter? Okay. So find something that you're passionate about. And if it is becoming an electrician, or it is becoming a plumber, or an iron worker, or a laborer, or an operator, look into what those trade unions have to offer. Those are all construction trades. And we all need to work together in the field to be successful. So, it's not come to me, come to me, come to me. It's find something that is good for you and that's going to work for you, so that you can go to work and not wake up and say, God, why did I become this? Or why am I doing that? I hate this. And if you ever do find yourself in that situation, then I highly suggest that you go find something else to make a living by and have a career with. Something you're going to be happy with, for sure.
Okay, we're almost out of time here, but there were two more questions that came in, and someone is asking for a friend. What is scaffolding?
Scaffolding is, there are many different types of scaffolding, but scaffolding are basically steel structures that are put up either inside or outside of a building that go up many, they could be 8 feet high, or they could be 200 feet high or more. And that's what goes up. That's what our construction workers work off of to sometimes do finishes on the exterior buildings, or to structurally frame buildings, or, those things. So yeah, scaffolding is,
If I could add to that, Chris, I think a lot of times the scaffolding that we put in place are so other crafts can perform their jobs. So scaffolding is really prevalent in the oil refineries out in Whiting, and then like your steel mills. They're all going to have a good sized group of scaffold guys there, scaffold carpenters, and they're going to build that structure that's going to get that pipe fitter all the way up that 80 feet to that pipe that's broken that he needs to get to. So some of the structures are temporary and some of them are permanent.
Okay, and one last question here. It looks as though they're asking, the bright color clothing is best for safety reasons, correct? That the construction workers wear?
Yes.
I guess they're
that's correct.
talking about the
Absolutely. Yeah,
neon
we use,
vests and such.
Yeah, absolutely. Some jobs require that's worn. Other jobs, it's kind of a contractor driven thing. I think we saw a guy come walking in the trailer behind Nick. He had some fluorescent, I believe fluorescent yellow jacket on. So yeah, any of the fluorescent colors or reflective clothing is for safety, for sure.
Kevin's back. See him? He's on Mobilely with us. You there, Kev?
Was.
Well, he was. He's freezing up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share this screen with everybody in closing. This is for all who are on right now. You can either snip this for yourself or take a snapshot of it. These are some resources for you. We've got, just to reiterate, the website for the carpenters, building trades programs. If you're interested in learning more about other trades as well, you can go to webuildnwi.com. And then the other thing to keep in mind is, before taking your test, I know with the ACT, is it the ACT test, right? What test was it the work keys? You're going to need if you need some math brush up before you take that test, you can get that through the Center of Workforce Innovations. We have adult learning centers throughout the region, and the classes are free, and they're either in person or you can do them virtually one-on-one with an instructor. So want you to keep that in mind. Something for you, Chris, to also have as a resource there at the Carpenters, because they are free. I mean, these are funds that are given to us through the Department of Education, Department of Labor. So that allows us to provide you with free brush up math and reading and writing skills. So that's it. Kevin, can you? Oh, we can't hear you. Kevin is saying, thank you for joining us. And I want to thank Chris Charters. I want to thank Nick. Great job. You guys were awesome. And I want to thank everybody who joined us today. We'll be sending out an evaluation tool, an evaluation form to all of the people who have registered, just to get your feedback on this session. And we have our next session will be with the iron workers on Tuesday, January 19th. We're going to do a similar session. And you can register for that as well. All right. Do we have any other questions from anybody before we log off here?
I guess I'll just take this last couple seconds and say, if there are any instructors that were out there or teachers or counselors that were involved with this and you want any more information from me, please call that number that you see for the training center, that 947-3348. You can get my email address from them, and we can start a conversation from there.
Can you guys hear me?
Now we can.
I'm sorry about that. Our internet crashed here at the office, so I didn't expect that, so I apologize. Barb, thanks for picking up. I should also let people know there's that We Build Northwest Indiana video link right there on the closing page too. There you can find out information not only about the carpenters, but about all the trades that are available here in Northwest Indiana. So thank you for joining us today. I apologize for the technical difficulties.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.